Well, hello friends. In this video today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be carving ditches, streams, and riverbanks in valleys on my N-scale model railroad for M&M Railways. So let's go to my living room and let's get started right now. Hey, my friends, let me give you the idea of what I got going on over here. Move that out of the way. So basically, I've been carving, working on this river here. As you can tell, I have soaped this side down. This actually goes down into the river, and you'll see that I've put drywall mud in here to build this up. And I put little dams in here because there's waterfalls, so it's going to come here, fall here, come here, fall here, and then come here, and then out the table. So my concept is to go ahead on camera and soak this bank down as it comes around here. When it gets around here, I see this coming down in an angle this way, so we're going to make it so it's coming downhill, and this will be the high spots and the high spots. And so anyway, when you walk into my house or walk around the corner, you'll walk around and you'll see a steel girded bridge that will span this area. There'll also be a bridge over here. So my wife has made car bridges. You can see that in another video. So there'll be a car bridge there. And then over here, there'll also be a car bridge. And then right here, there'll be another wooden bridge for the tracks to cross the river here. So I'll set these out of the way. So let's go ahead and work on carving the bank down from this point to this point, and then we're going to move this out of here, and then we're going to shave this down. And then we're going to do an irrigation ditch along here with a head gate that comes off the river, and then we're going to open that head gate up into a stream that's going to come around and follow these contour over here. So the track will be up on the high rise, and then down below it will be the stream, and then there will be a cattle operation here and hay fields here, and we'll talk about that later. So I'm going to go ahead and start this tool, and I'm going to go ahead and mute the sound and put some music on so you don't have to listen to the sound of this vibrating while I'm doing this, and then I'll come back and I'll talk to you. So I don't want you to hear this, which isn't too bad, but enjoy the music while I do a little carving here. So now, as you can tell, it looks like that's more of a bank coming off of there. Let me big stuff and throw that in the trash can. So now when we pour water in here, the water will come up to about the top of this slope right here. The part that comes up and then slopes. It won't come all the way up to the side of the bank. And that's kind of the way I designed it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to establish, there's a head gate that's going to go into an irrigation ditch that's going to irrigate the hay fields that are going to be in this area. So let's cut the head gate out so it comes down to the surface of the water. And then you can do a little bit of carving with your utility knife and just kind of start cutting that out and moving that foam out of there. So what basically a head gate is, for those of you that don't understand irrigating, a head gate comes off of the river or off of a stream or off of an irrigation ditch, and it provides water to the fields via a concrete or a dirt irrigation ditch. And then the ditch rider, he'll come along here and he will have a certain amount of water that he's going to let out, as that's his part of his job. So when I pour my epoxy in here, it will come into this head gate area, and my wife and I will make a little head gate with a lever on it that will set back in this area that you can see now. I have a little head gate. Don't worry, I'm going to give you a close-up as I get this done. So now what I want to do, my friends, is I want to go and make this irrigation ditch. I've already marked a line, but I don't want to go any deeper than halfway into my foam. So I've got a mark on here that's going to be a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to put some tape on my drummer tool blade, and then that will tell me not to go any deeper than that mark in order to plunge what I want to plunge in here. So I'm going to hold this up at an angle, and then I'm just going to go down to that tape there that you see down here, just like I did when I started that out. So let's see what we can do here. Alright, now I've carved down into it, basically. So concrete irrigation ditches or tube irrigation ditches, they have a concrete angle to them. So I'm going to angle my drummer tool at an angle to make that slope. And then at a later time, my wife and I will make a concrete, actually a wooden form that we'll paint to look like concrete. So let me show you that. Okay, I have my angle that way, and like I said, when I'm all done, I'll give you a close-up view of everything. So now I got to establish it the other direction, so I'm just basically going to turn it around and do the same thing. Really taking shape in there, my friends. Now let's do some fine cutting with our and that looks like a channel for an irrigation ditch. Not like a big old irrigation ditch, you know, for like the tri-state, the one that brings the water to the communities, but just a little one that brings the water. Get that out of there. So now I'm looking pretty good in there. except not really flat. So I'm going to try to make this flat just by making some marks on it. Really have to use a vacuum cleaner too to and now it looks like the water can work itself down through this channel. And when we come back to do the water, you'll see kind of how we make that. So basically, I'm just carving out the flat part of that, because if you look at a concrete irrigation ditch out in the field, if you ever looked at it dry, it has a flat spot to it. Then it has little banks that come down. So I'm just kind of carving this out, and then I'll figure out how to sand it down so it's more level, more flatter in there. Maybe leveler is not a word. It actually makes a pretty good ditch down in that foam. That's a lot of the modern railroaders. They're moving the foam and putting it on top of their plywood. When I used to do this model train layout before, I never used foam underneath it. I always built up the plywood, styrofoam or whatever. But now you can cut down into your surface. Okay, now we got a pretty good irrigation ditch going through there, and we'll make a little like a V U-shaped kind of a thing to come along here and put looks like concrete forms in there, but we might paint that. We'll never know. It depends on what the wife kind of comes up with. So over here we're going to come over to a stream, and the stream is going to wrap around this way. I'll change the angle of the camera when I do that, and we'll go from there. So let me take you off the tripod and kind of give you a close-up of what I've done here, and I'm going to vacuum it up first. Well, there's the close-up that I promised you. Let me show you what the inside of that ditch looks like now. As you can tell, it has an inlet, and it continues, there it is. So it has an inlet into the, out of the river, and then we're going to put a head gate over here to control the flow of the water, and that's going to flow into a stream. So now what I like to do is go ahead and carve that valley down, because I kind of need to know what that's going to do in order to put my stream into it. So like I said before, along here there's going to be a wooden bridge. So what we want to do is we want to take this out of here, and I use this just for shims to build it up. So this whole valley along here is going to have a slope down into the valley. So let's get the drummer tool and kind of get an idea of what that's going to look like. I think what I want to do is, I don't have this track nailed down, get that out of the way. And I've already basically carved the riverbank the way I want it. Let's shape this side just a little bit. Wood out of here so you can see that it makes a nice area for a waterfall. We'll be doing that later on down the road. We've got another dam sitting right here. Let me fill that out of there. Okay, so first waterfall, second waterfall, third waterfall. And then I'll coat this plywood with something so it doesn't seep out. So before I cut the bank out, I'm going to start sloping it. Okay, so I'm going to make a mark so you kind of got the idea where I'm going to slope it from. I'm going to stay back about that much because I'm going to be putting in a kind of a little bit of a concrete embankment to help reinforce that bridge that's coming across there. So I want to have a level spot to do that. So now what I want to do, let's just work. And as you can tell, I angled that down in there. So let's cut this out and see what it looks like. Okay? And let's go level. Make a cut line there. So now what happens is when the cars, there's a bridge over here, don't forget. So when the cars come this way, they're going to come out on the road here. So let's say this is the car. They're going to come up here, and then they're either going to turn this way or they're going to turn this way. So basically, we're going to have to cut an angle on this bridge here so they can make the curve. So they're going to come straight up to the intersection, see if it's clear, and then make the turn. So that's the concept of what I was shooting for. We'll put them up there so they're out of the way. All right, so we got this sloped. Just want to go a little bit at a time when you're cutting down into your angle of your foam, because if you take out too much, you can't put it back unless you plaster it up. So it'll be kind of the same grade that we got coming up here, but I will sand this and shape this. So now it's starting to shape and look like a valley coming out. What I'm going to do, being as I have an angle over here on the side of the table, I'm going to make myself a mark that brings it down to the tabletop at this angle. So I got 2 layers of 1-inch foam on there, and I want to come back basically down at an angle to that foam that's coming over. So once we get this one established, we can establish this one down at that same angle. now you can kind of see where we're coming from. I'll cut these. You kind of have some relief across there. He said, I am going to put a foam sheet on all this, so it'll help shape this a little bit. Nice downhill curve here, but it's a little rough. So what I'm doing is I'm carving this down towards the riverbed, so it looks like any moisture or any water that would run off is going to run off down into that riverbank. I think that's starting to look pretty good now. Like I said, I'll be putting some foam over this, and then I'll be sanding it down. So now the concept is, if you're following my hand here, the cars are going to come like this, and then they're going to go at an angle and go down the hill. All right, so what we want to do now is push our pile back up here a little bit. And now I've established kind of where I'm going to come from. Has a contour down into the water, just like this. So we don't want to go as steep, but we want to. See how this tool gives you the ability to kind of do it, angling it and carving it a little bit better. So let's bring this one down this way, so it looks like this side's coming down this way. Let's start back here on this piece of foam. This was a 4-foot piece, and this was like a 8-inch piece or something like that. Smell the foam burning underneath there. So cut that out so we can see our slope. All right, that's a pretty good slope. When I get all finished out, it'll look like that just kind of flows around there. All right, same thing before, my friends. I'm going to mark a line coming down our embankment. So I'm basically just going to hold this off of here and run for that angle as we start coming up out of that. Holding it so it comes up to the edge, as you can see right there. Now let's carve in from this way and see what that looks like. I'm holding my dermer tool at an angle the best that I can to establish my angle coming down. You notice I'm holding it the other way, but I'm going to angle it down so it comes to my red mark. Time. Don't get too excited about removing all of it at one time, because if you go too much, then you'll regret it. My friends, I'm liking that. Get that all out of there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to establish this riverbank coming down off of here. Let's do that now. Alright. Now let me clean up my mess, friends, and then let's carve that stream out. Well, my friends, check back for part 2 of this video on ditches, streams, and riverbank carving. We got to put the stream in that connects to the irrigation ditch. We're going to do that in part 2 coming up next.